I've been asked by people, well, you're a white guy, why should you write about this? And my answer to that is because it's not African American history; it's American history. It's my history, and
well, let me ask you about that, because I'm conscious with your parents in attendance, and knowing them as I know,
white parents,
and knowing them as I know you, and knowing your history growing up in Houston. You come from a state that many people would say still has not moved to a post-racial period. There is still an open question as to whether an African American could get elected statewide running for governor in Texas. Yeah. One could not get elected statewide running for the United States Senate. There's a question as to whether a Hispanic candidate for governor of either party would be able to get elected in this state today. And that's an unfortunate thing if you want to believe that race is no longer an obstacle to success in elective office or to appointed office, for that matter. How much does your experience as a Texan shape your view of this material as you go forward on this book?
Well, it's, in a sort of sideways fashion, I suppose it does. I mean, you've outlined, where I'm from, maybe more to the point. I grew up in suburbs that were almost exclusively white. Went to schools that, with the exception of one or two students, were white. Went to the University of Texas, which throughout the late 70s, when I was here, did not have a lot of African Americans. Worked at Texas Monthly. They had one African American, and so I have.
How's the staff at GQ?
No better. I mean, I'd say probably 4 or 5 African Americans. I mean, we could have a whole subject of discussion on African Americans
race
in journalism
and the media. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and it's these questions about 2 weeks from now when you have Ann here, of course you'll be talking to her about the electability of a woman as president, and these questions continue to be salient, and I think the ones that are worth chewing over, certainly.
But don't you think to that point, and I'll ask this of Ann as well,
yeah.
Don't you think to that point if you had said to somebody 2 years ago, one of the following 2 barriers will be broken in the 2008 presidential election: the country will elect the first woman president, or the country will elect the first black president, which one will be broken?
Well,
more people would have said the country will elect the first woman president?
Yes, that's right. And in fact, I remember talking to Democrat friends of mine who were sort of senior campaign staffers who worked on the Hill, and to a person, they said the country's not going to elect a black. It's not going to happen. They felt that Hillary would break through just by dint of the fact that she was so familiar, that we'd seen her over years, and in particular that she'd calibrated her career as senator so craftily that. But again, as I think Ann's very fine book, and as your discussion with Ann will probably bear out, there remain serious barriers on that front as well.